Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca, and I'm an event planner with the Orange County Library System. Welcome to tonight's virtual event, Ask a Lawyer, presented by the Orange County Bar Association. Before we begin, I would like to share a couple things about Zoom. Please keep in mind that everyone's videos, besides our speakers, will be turned off. You will be muted unless you are asking a question, and then you may unmute yourself. Does everyone see the chat feature at the bottom of their screen? If you have any trouble, please feel free to private message me using the chat feature, or, well, you can raise your hand as well. At the bottom of your screen, you will also see a feature that says participants. If you click on that feature, you can use your raise your hand feature if you would like to ask a question and would like to speak. And to tonight's event, you will have the opportunity to speak with a panel of attorneys to get insight and guidance in landlord, tenant, and real estate law. Without further ado, I would like to begin by introducing Cliff Geismar, our moderator for tonight's event.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Good evening. My name is Cliff Geismar with the Law Office of Clifford J. Geismar, PA. And I'd like to thank you for attending our Ask a Lawyer event sponsored by the Orange County Bar Association and the Orange County Clerk of Courts. Before we get started, allow me to give you a little background information about the Orange County Bar. The association has been around for 85 years, and in addition to serving the needs of our members, one of our goals has been to reach out to the community and provide services and programs that will benefit Central Floridians. Some of our programs include our members' pro bono work with the Legal Aid Society of the Orange County Bar Association, our lawyer referral and information service, our Law Week program for school children of Orange County, and our free citizen dispute and family law mediation program. The citizen dispute and family law mediations are facilitated by an impartial professional mediator who listens to and encourages a resolution that is satisfactory to both parties. By reaching a settlement, both parties avoid court costs and the uncertainty of a trial outcome. This is a free program for anyone residing in Orange County. Tonight's Ask a Lawyer event is just one of those programs, and we hope you'll feel free to ask any questions you have about landlord, tenant, and real estate law. The Orange County Bar attorneys, Luis Basagoitia, have I said that right, Luis?
That's pretty good.
And Zeffery Mims will help guide you through some of the tough issues that you want to know about. Tonight's event will be recorded and shared on the Orange County Bar Association's Facebook page. Please be sure to like the page if you are on Facebook. I'd like to introduce the speakers at this time before we get going. And Luis Basagoitia is the owner of Luis Basagoitia, attorney at law. Zeffery Mims is the owner of Zeffery Mims Esquire. And at this time, I will open the floor for questions regarding landlord, tenant, and real estate law. And Abigail, did you have a question?
Yes, sir, I did. I'm trying to find out how I can have a sit down with a lawyer because I'm on a fixed income and I'm physically disabled. And housing, I have tried to go through legal aid, and because it's more than one issue and I have a ton of evidence, they're not hearing me out and I get the runaround. So I don't even think I've actually talked to a lawyer that if, like, with the issues I'm having with my landlord.
Abigail, I'm sure you're speaking to the right people right now and just asking that question, because I'm sure we're able to hook you up with a lawyer who will answer your questions. I would be happy to do so. But if you have a specific question right now, we'll be happy to answer that right now. And, you know, I'll be happy to speak with you about your issues. And I'm sure that there are many lawyers who would want to speak with you. What's the issue that you have currently that you'd like?
It's like several. One is the fact that there's been issues with the trash. There's been issues with my mailbox with the I have a whole list. I'm sorry, hang on.
Does anybody want to address those two issues meanwhile about the
Yeah, and
not keeping up with some of the duties?
yeah, and just there's kids that are constantly outside my window, including my bedroom window. I have notified the landlord. I have notified the on-site security. Nobody wants to do anything about it. And one so severe where they have thrown things at my window and broken the screen on my window.
Well, I think you have a very clear remedy here. Luis or Zeffery, would one of you like to answer this?
What is the clear remedy that you have?
Well, you could service of a notice of withholding rent of intent to withhold rent for duties that the landlord may that has an obligation to provide pursuant to the Florida statutes, depending upon what the obligation is that the landlord is not fulfilling. That's where I was going with that.
If any information that I can get through email would be greatly appreciated on how I can find out more about it, because especially with things like I've had cracks in my walls that I'm not even sure would pass code. I need serious help.
There is a procedure that's authorized in the statutes, that's provided for in the statutes, whereby you can serve your landlord with a 7-day notice to cure certain remedies, or you let him know that you intend to withhold rent if he doesn't do that.
Okay.
Now, I don't want you to just send a letter, because it has to be done properly.
Yes.
If you call,
I have an idea here. You can go to the floridabar.org, to that website.
Okay.
floridabar.org, and then look for consumer information, and there are some booklets there about landlord and tenant rights. At least there's one, so you can read there about what your rights are as a tenant.
Okay, yes, sir, because I have pictures, I have documentation of things that I've done, and work orders that I put in, things like that. And so.
if you call the Bar Association Referral Service, I'm sure that they will put you through to an attorney who can answer in more detail as well.
They tell me that they can't tell me which is a tenant landlord lawyer. They can only give me a list, because I've already called them, sir. That's why I need help determining.
Did you have any other questions right now? Are there any other issues that you wanted to address?
No, there's just so many issues. That was just the main, how to find a lawyer that I can sit down and go through all of it with.
Okay. I hope we've been of help, and I would call the bar back. Just get a name from them for you to call. And
Okay.
hope we've been of help this evening.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next person, who else has a question?
Hi, good afternoon.
Janea?
Okay, I am Jennifer Astacio, but I'm going to be translating for my sister. Her name is Joanne Colon. She's the one affected in this case.
Okay.
Okay, so how can I explain? She was renting an apartment in Orlando, which was owned and managed by a real estate salesperson. And up till March, her rent was due every 15 and always was paid on time. In March, she lost her job, obviously, because everybody knows with the COVID situation. And she went afterwards, applied for unemployment and, to receive this, and also for the stimulus check. However, while waiting, she was also looking for a job, and May came around. So what happened to my sister? She was struggling to pay the rent. So she went, because there was a delay with the Florida unemployment system. The landlord insisted that the rent must be paid on time or else she would be evicted. So what happened was that she kept harassing my sister, saying that she's going to report the situation to credit reporting agency. And she continued, let me see what else. She continued to threatening her and to pay the rent by May 18. And she went ahead, the landlord, she placed a 3-day notice to vacate. So the question is there any resources that my sister may have to proceed the type of harassment this landlord did? Right now, my sister is basically on the street. She had to put everything on a storage. Landlord being aware that in a type of case like this, she couldn't evict her. Did the landlord violate the law?
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like so. Your sister, she's out of the place right now.
Yeah, we threw pictures. Everything was turned in good condition.
Yeah. So why did she move out? Because of the harassment?
Yeah, because it was too much. It was just too many texts from her, insisting her where's the money, she need to pay, and kept harassing her like, listen, if you don't pay, I'm gonna report you to the credit bureau, and it was just so much. She was getting nervous.
Yeah. There is something in the law called wrongful eviction, and so in this situation, it seems to me that the landlord went over the line, and that she may be able to sue for that reason.
Right.
So again, if you have a phone number, I mean, I can give you a phone number, which is the 407-422-4537, and ask for a landlord and tenant attorney. That's the Orange County Bar, by the way.
Okay.
And, you know, she probably has a case for wrongful eviction. That's what I think.
Awesome. Yes, because it was not right what she did.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I don't think that the courts have been processing. I don't believe they started processing the evictions yet. So
Yeah, that's what I heard.
that certainly sounds like it was wrongful eviction. I think Luis is exactly right.
Okay. Yeah, it was good to know, to see, you know, the right way to approach the situation. And then with this number that the other attorney just provided, we're gonna go ahead and just report all the information in, and we have all the text, we have everything, you know, all the evidence from the landlord, everything, every word she had mentioned to her, to the tenant.
Did you have any follow-up question, or was that the only issue?
For the meantime, yes, it was that one.
Okay, thank you. I hope we've been able to help a little bit.
Yes, thank you so much.
You bet. You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Who else has a question?
Okay, the next person in line is someone with the title iPhone.
That's me. I apologize.
Hello, iPhone.
Yes, no, my name is Sean. I apologize. I thought for some reason it says my name. I do own 2 properties, actually 2 houses in Windermere area in Orlando, Florida. And one of the houses being rented for the last 3 years, the same person. She's a lady, and she works in the bank, and she's been paying the rent. And due to the fact, because I travel a lot and I do business outside the country, so usually the first year when we signed the lease, we signed a lease for 2,200 per month as a rental agreement. But every other, and then second year and the third years, I increased the rent the second year by 100, and then the third year by 200. However, we did not sign a new lease, but I got an agreement and approval from her end by email. She sent me an email stating, it's okay, go ahead and increase the rent, I will pay it. And she did pay it. However, now, for some reason, she decided to go back to the original that we signed 3 years ago, which is the rent only 2,200. So I have contacted a lawyer, and as far as I know, the lawyer mentioned to me that if I did not sign a lease the second year, it means that lease, it went month to month, and it's not valid only month to month, and I could send her a 15 days notice for termination of month to month lease. That's why my first question is that correct? And the second question is, and the second question is for the missing, which is $300 per month, because the rent now that she's supposed to be paying for the last 2 years is 2,500, and she only for the last 4 months was only been paying 2,200. So there are $300 every month for the last 4 months that she did not pay. Can I collect it eventually? Because the proofs that I have, it's only email proofs with her acceptance of the rent plus a bank account that she agreed to pay, and she paid it. That's all.
Yeah, if I may, I think the attorney who advised you is correct. You have a month-to-month lease, and you need to give 15-day notice, at least 15-day notice before the rent is due. And as far as asking for the difference, I believe you are able to do that because she paid it. If she paid at least one time the extra rent, then she waived her right to the previous amount. So in my opinion, yes, you can ask for the extra rent as well.
So my question now is, like, for example, now after 50, I already gave her 15 days notice for termination of month-to-month lease. Let's say after that 15 days is over, what do I file? Do I file for I know in my case, I'm not filing for an eviction for non-payment. I'm filing an eviction for termination of month-to-month lease. Can I file, and what kind of file what kind of case I have? Is it like just for an eviction, or eviction and remaining of the rent?
You can have a case for both the eviction and the rent. What county are you in?
Orange County.
Orange County. The clerk at the Orange County can give you the forms that you need to file. So you need to go to their website is myorangeclerk.org. And you can find out the forms that you need there. But yeah, you can, after the 15 days, you can begin eviction proceedings. There is no, you cannot evict anybody until the end of this month. That's what the Supreme Court said. But after that, you can. Now, you can begin the eviction proceedings, but you already gave the 15-day notice. When is the 15 days over?
Because what I heard, I gave her 15 days notice like almost a week ago, but what I heard, due to the fact that she paid part of the rent, and the only time I could evict her, it's this period has to end, which is the end of this month, that means June 30th. So I give her a deadline up to June 30th to leave the house. So after June 30th, if she does not leave, I guess I could file for an eviction.
Have you accepted partial rent?
The thing she went ahead, she deposited into my account. I don't know how to reject it.
Ooh, that would be a problem for you. But you can still try to evict her, but she may have a defense.
That's what she told me. She told me because I already accepted the rent. But how can I reject the rent?
You can cancel the account.
Wow.
Now, if you need further information, please call 407-422-4537, which is the Orange County Bar, and
Okay.
ask for a landlord and tenant attorney. I think you ought to do that, please.
Okay, I will. So that means if I accepted the rent, that means it is going to be an issue?
Depends if what she told you, she seems to know what she's doing. So yeah, that may be an issue. But remember, when you evict somebody, they have to pay the rent that is due in the court registry. So maybe she's not able to do that. But you don't lose anything by calling the number I gave you and have a separate consultation with a landlord attorney.
I will. I mean, that's yeah. I will go ahead and do that. But usually after the end of the month, when I file for an eviction, is that true that the rent could be a triple?
It's actually double, and
Double,
that's
yes.
yeah, double, and that's if they stay after the end of the lease. So I don't think it would apply in a month to month, although it may, though I'm not totally sure. Maybe the other attorneys know, but I know that if they stay after the end of the lease, then they may be liable for double rent. So it may be possible after month to month, if they stay there, be liable for double the amount of the rent. But
Yeah, because
again,
the lease was expired almost 3 years 3 years ago.
yeah, I know, but right now she has a month to month.
Correct.
But again, I don't want to take all the time because there are other
Yes,
people
yes,
waiting.
yes,
So
yes. I
please
apologize.
call that number, okay?
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next person with a question?
The next person is Miriam McGill.
Hi, Miriam.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. What
Okay.
was your question?
Yes, I'm a landlord, and I have a tenant who he tells me that he's gonna pay. Like he'll say, okay, I'm late this month, but you know, I can pay on the 13th or I can pay on the 15th. And when that time comes, he doesn't pay. And so I'll contact him by email or text and say, you know, you said you were going to pay on this date. Please provide an update. A lot of times he won't respond. So I won't know for days, you know, when he's going to make the payment. So my question is, how many times can I send him an email stating, you know, you're past due, you know, this is your 16th day, this is your 17th day, this is your balance due. Like, you know, I don't want to be harassing him, but I also want to have it documented that I'm letting him know, you know, you said you were going to pay and you didn't.
Zeffery, do you want to answer this?
Yeah, absolutely. Ms. Miguel, your lease should control so that if after, say, the 4th or 5th day, he's past due, you would then be able to give him that notice to pay or vacate. That would be the answer there, is that, you know, the lease document would control. And if you'd like to ultimately preserve your right to rental payment, then you would definitely go ahead and provide him written notice that unless he does pay rent, he would be turning over possession of the premises. That would be the best way to document it.
How much can I charge in late fees? Because I've been researching it, and some places says, like in Florida, there's no, as long as they sign to the agreement and the lease. I'm on the phone. As long as they sign to the like agreement and the lease, they have to honor that. But then I've seen some places where you can only charge like 5%. So what's right on that?
Typically, late fees, again, your lease would control as long as it doesn't surpass what's considered usury. So, and I believe that might be 18%. But if you'd like to speak specifically to a landlord-tenant attorney, you can call the Orange County Bar's Lawyer Referral and Information Service. But typically in a lease, as long as it's not considered a usury amount of interest or a late fee, it should be legal.
Now, the last question I have, because I know that people have questions, is can you evict someone for past due late fees? Like say he's accrued $200 worth of late fees. Can he be evicted solely for the late fees or only for the rent?
Yes, any late fees or in arrears can be considered past due rent. And again, a lot of times your lease would control there, but you are statutorily, you're entitled to evict someone based upon past due rent and late fees.
Okay.
I disagree with my partner. Unless the lease says that the late fees are rent, you cannot evict somebody just for late fees. The lease must say that they are rent. You understand?
Yes, yes.
It has to be in the lease that late fees amount to rent. Otherwise, you cannot evict the person.
Okay, well, most recently, I put in there that I rolled in the electricity into his rent. So in the lease, I did say, like, if he fails to pay rent, he also fails to pay utilities, and that he can be evicted for that. So due to the fact that I put that in the lease, that is, he can be evicted if he doesn't pay the rent, right? Since it's included.
The actual language must say that the utilities are considered rent or the late fees are considered rent. If it doesn't say that specifically, I don't think you can evict somebody. Now you can try, and if he doesn't know better, then you may get away with it. Now, the other question you asked about how many times you can call this person.
Email, yes, email.
Or email. There is not a certain amount of times, the law doesn't say. Now, you have to be careful because if you're, we just heard a case of a lady who the landlord was harassing her so much that she had to leave. And as long as you're seeking your payment, there is no amount of times that you're limited. So I guess you could keep, calling him. But me if I was your lawyer, I would tell you somebody that you have to keep bugging to pay you, it's time to evict them because that's a bad tenant.
Exactly. And he's using the coronavirus as, why he's not able to pay his rent, but at the same time, he's also telling us he's working. So, he's giving us mixed signals, and I think he's just taking advantage of the coronavirus situation, right? Because one minute he's not working, one minute he's working. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Shaver? Karen, did you have a question? Karen Shaver? Let's see, who's next?
I was trying to unmute.
Karen, hi.
Hello.
Karen.
Yes, I'm actually calling in reference to a real estate question. I purchased a home, and next to that home, adjacent to the home, is a piece of property. It's a small 25 by 50 piece of property that I've done research and actually paid for a title search on because it is adjacent to my property. That's not owned by the HOA. It's not owned by the builder. It was actually a piece of the original property, but was left off of the full deed when the bankruptcy went through and the builder actually gained the property. So it's a little tiny piece of property that they probably did that just to piss off the builder. But being that it's next to my property, and I have paid the money to have the title search done, I'm trying to figure out how do I get that piece of property? What am I filing? Because it's not a quiet title. It's something else that doesn't, because I don't have any right to it, so it's not really the quiet title. So I'm trying to figure out what it is that I would be filing to actually get that piece of property as my own.
Rebecca or Gabriel, any thoughts?
Who owns the property?
Actually, after the title search, no one, because the LLC that owned the property has been defunct for about 9 years. So it's in limbo. It'll never get used for anything but sit there in a little tiny fenced area that the builder had to fence in because the county basically told them, well, that you don't own that, so you have to block that off.
Wow.
It's a strange one.
That's a very, yes. The other attorneys may have an answer. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to pay. So every attorney that I've talked to, oh, it's $5,000, you know, for to talk to us, you know, to sign us for this. The property's not worth $5,000, so
Right.
it's not worth all that. But like I said, I did the title search.
How big is it?
25 by 50.
25. Okay, so you really want it, huh?
Yeah, I'd love to have it because, like I said, it's adjacent to my backyard. There's nothing else there, and if I could have an extra little piece of backyard, that's fantastic for me.
You may want to check with the recording office and see whose name whose name is on the title. And
yeah, I've got that. And
you have that. You may want to contact the record title owner.
Right, I did that. That's because it was the LLC that's been defunct. So I've written letters to all them and had letters come back not receivable because there's nobody there anymore. So
okay,
it's a wild goose chase at this point.
You also may want to try to contact the taxing authority in Orange County, see who they are billing for the taxes, and perhaps get to somebody that way.
Yeah, there's no billing on it. It's because it's so small. There's no taxes on it.
Well, you may want to just set up shop on the property and acquire it by, what's the term I'm looking for?
Adverse possession.
There we go.
Okay.
Great.
If you do that,
it's a very real sounds like that might be a very real possibility.
Yeah, that's a good idea. If you occupy it for 7 years, now the problem I see is that there's a fence already, so you may have to break the fence or something. I don't know how.
Once I have my fence up, that if I open even one panel to that, then it's open to my backyard. So
you could make use of it then.
Yes, I could definitely make use of it.
All right. Well, I think that's a good idea. 7 years, and you may get a property over that ownership.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's the best.
And if there are any taxes, you need to pay that. I understand you said that there are no taxes, but one of the requirements for that kind of legal ground is to pay the tax. And make sure that everybody knows that you're there, so that it's visible, your presence.
Yeah. Well, when we were thinking about that, we were going to take pictures of the fact that I mow it. So.
Right. You make pictures, videos. Good idea.
Yeah, I'm maintaining it. All right. Well, that's the direction I have to go in. I will check with the tax authority, but there's been no taxes on it for the last 13 years. So I will check with them anyway, though.
Good.
All right.
I hope it's been helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Fasi Sayed. I joined a bit late, and I'm joining via my cell phone. So just let me know when it's my turn to ask a question, please.
Okay, I think Arun Babu. We certainly will. I think Arun Babu is.
Yes. Hi. Thank you for taking my call. I am a landlord. I have a property in Orlando. My tenants are reasonable, but I have a problem with my HOA. They tried to bring a vote to stop renting the property from all the landlords. That didn't work. So I think they're giving a hard time trying to find every little small problem and send me a violation notice. They're trying to, the other day they sent me a $200 bill because my tenants left some carpet over there. They didn't give me a chance to address the problem. They said they had the right to, so they sent me a $200 bill and they picked up the carpet without giving me a notice. And every week I receive a letter saying the tax is out or the lawn is not mowed. And the last time, the lawn was not mowed because it rained continuously for over 2 weeks. So I want to know what are my options. I think it's more of a harassment. What can I do to lessen this problem?
Zeffery, would you want to field that?
Definitely. I think the first thing to do would be to send a letter to the HOA and just let them know that they're frustrating the purpose of their contract with you and in anticipation of their breach, because right now they're making it impossible for you to perform under the terms of the contract that says that you have to keep the yard clean and pick up the things that were left over from the previous tenants. And so I would say sending a letter to them would be the best thing first. And then after that, pursue possible litigation in terms of their failure to hold up their end of the bargain with regard to your contract and enforcing their rights.
I would also become familiar with the declaration and any agreements that you have with the association. And that will also help you to, as Zeffery was saying, that'll help you to specify what provisions they may be violating or what provisions they may not be following.
Okay. Now, I have seen a couple of neighbors where they have not mowed the lawn and they have not got notices. Is there some way I can, bring that up to their attention, or how do I?
Yes. There's actually something called selective enforcement, and that means that they let other people go and they pick on you, and so you could bring that up to them. Now, why is it that they're picking on you? Why is it that they're hard on you?
First of all, they don't like the property owners to rent it out, and they tried that to bring a vote and they failed. But otherwise, before that, I had a argument with one of the exactly for this reason, for not giving me a notice. I would have addressed this problem without making it an issue. But the fact that, they billed me without even giving me a chance to address
You need to ask the question.
So, yeah, so that I think it's probably because of the argument that I had with them.
Okay.
That they are giving me a hard time.
Okay, we have time for, I don't know if there's a question pending, but we do have time for one more question. And everyone who doesn't get their questions answered this evening can contact the Lawyer Referral and Information Service or the Self-Help Center for additional assistance. And we'd be happy to take all your questions. We just don't have time for any more this evening. We have time for one more now. Gabriel Diaz. I hope I'm not cutting off the last person, but I have Gabriel Diaz as the next person.
Yeah. Thank you for taking my call. Before we go, can you share your?
Yes. Hello. Yes. Hello. This is Gabriel. How are you? Thank you so much for taking the time. I have a question in reference to protecting properties. My wife and myself, we own about 5 properties. Sometimes I am afraid that there is some kind of liability issue. If I get into a car accident or something like that, that I can get sued and then they can go after the property. So I want to have some kind of legal protection, some type of legal shield that they cannot go after the properties if something like that happens.
That's an asset protection question.
Well, it depends how you own the properties. If you I'm going to give a very quick hypothetical. If you own the properties, this may not be the case. If you were to own the properties individually and there was a problem and someone was injured or damaged and they sued you individually, there would be a possibility that if they proved their damages and they proved you were liable, since the property was in your name individually, in that scenario, they may be able to attach the property or look to the property to satisfy their damages. If the properties are in an LLC or they're in some other ownership, then they may not. Also, you want to make sure for however the properties are titled, you want to make sure you have insurance that's insuring the owner of that property so that you have coverage for whoever is owning the property. Does that make sense?
Yes, just to provide with a little bit of specifics, they are owned individually. So 2 of the properties are under my name, 3 of the properties are under my wife's name. That's how we have it. We don't have an LLC, and that's why I want to find out if it's the best way to go. It would be to create an LLC and put the properties under the LLC.
Well, it's one way to go. I would consult you. You should speak with an attorney further about it. It's certainly one way to go. It's one part of the puzzle, but that's something you want to get some advice, some more advice about. Yes, it is not a bad idea to form the LLCs. That is probably not the only legal advice that you need to solve this situation. You need, I would consult further with an attorney to get it set up properly, and also an insurance agent so you make sure you're covered. I would now like to introduce Roberta Walton. Ms. Walton is the inaugural manager for the Self-Help Center and the operations manager for the Orange County Clerk of Courts Family Services Division. As the Self-Help Center manager, she oversees services offered to self-represented litigants interested in family law, landlord-tenant law, and small claims cases, to include attorney consultations offered in collaboration with the Orange County Bar Association. Ms. Walton? I don't know if...
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Hi, Roberta.
Okay, hey, how are you? Thank you so much for having me. This is quite different than how we typically share, but we're gonna make this work. And first of all, to all who are on the call, again, thank you, Cliff, for the introduction. My name is Roberta Walton, and I am the Self-Help Center manager here with the Orange County Clerk of Courts. And I just want to take a few minutes to share with you about this beautiful resource that we have here for everyone who lives in Orange County, and not simply everyone who lives in Orange County, but anyone who's interested in filing an Orange County case and they are representing themselves. The Orange County Self-Help Center is a standalone center here co-located here in the Orange County Courthouse. We're on the 3rd floor in room 340. And the rationale for the Self-Help Center is that we were established to assist all self-represented litigants. That means someone who's attempting to represent themselves in court for any family law case, for a small claims case, or a residential landlord-tenant case. And I just heard from a couple of landlords in catching the last of that conversation. And so we also provide services not only for residents with residential evictions or landlord-tenant matters, but also to landlords. We have a beautiful collaborative partnership that we established back in 2015 with the Orange County Bar Association, where we have a rotation of attorneys who come here to the Self-Help Center Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they assist self-represented litigants on representing themselves in court for any one of those case types that I just shared: small claims, residential landlord-tenant, or a family court matter. The great thing about it is sometimes change happens for good, but as a result of COVID-19, we've now pushed our attorney consultations into virtual consultations. So just as we're meeting here virtually tonight, our attorney consultations happen virtually. And so the customer still has an opportunity to call, schedule an attorney consultation, and meet with the attorney through a video conference and have an exchange about how to represent themselves in court. Our attorney consultation appointments are $1 a minute, just $1, and they're in 15-minute increments. You can schedule a meeting for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, up to 1 hour per day. And because they're only $1 a minute, those consultations are non-refundable, and every consultation must be scheduled in advance. You can accomplish that by going to our website, .myorange.clerk, I forgot where I was, www.myorange.clerk.com, and schedule a self-help center appointment for any of the case types that you might be interested in. So not only do we offer that, but we also have 5 full-service deputy clerks. And the deputy clerks here, we host a document library where you can purchase any one of our forms packets to attempt filing on your own. And soon we're going to be scheduling appointments so that if you want to come in and meet with one of the deputy clerks and file, we have a streamlined service for you to be able to do that one-stop shop. So as you can hear, as you can see, the Self-Help Center is a wonderful, wonderful tool, a wonderful resource for the community. And I just wanted to take a few moments of your time to share this wonderful thing that Clerk Tiffany Moore Russell has put together for this local community. Any questions?
Can you repeat that website again, please?
It's www.myorange.clerk.com. And you can go to the Self-Help Center tab and schedule an appointment for any one of those case types.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Let's see, it's about 10 to 7. We may have time for one more question. Is there anyone still waiting who hasn't asked a question?
Do you practice commercial?
Yeah, this is Fasi Sayed.
In line, Janae Thornton, thank you, number 5. And I had a question pertaining to squatters in Florida. Are they considered tenants, and what are our owners' rights?
Did anyone hear that question?
I didn't hear it.
Squatters in Florida, are they considered tenants, and what are owners' rights?
Oh, squatters in Florida. I mean, could you be a little more specific? I mean, could you give a little more background?
Someone who entered the home while it was vacant and lights and everything are on, and they're in my house without permission.
And how long have they been there?
Probably a day or so.
Call the police. They're trespassers.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I didn't know the Florida, so that's why I was.
If the police, sometimes the police will tell you it. I think that they will treat them as trespassers. I agree. Sometimes the police will say that a situation is a civil situation, and they direct people to lawyers in courts sometimes. I agree with Luis. I think they are trespassers. But if for some reason the police didn't treat them as such, you could bring an action for ejectment. Rather than eviction, you could seek to have them ejected from the premises. But I don't have a problem with having them trespassed off.
Okay, so it's called ejectment? I'm sorry, the word is ejectment?
Ejectment would be the legal action that you would bring against them. But I agree with Luis. I don't think you're going to need to do that in this case.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, I'm trying to see who's next on the list of people waiting.
This is Sonia Rodriguez. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Sonia Rodriguez, yes?
Yes.
Okay, I have a rental, and I just renewed the lease for the next year, but I'm thinking of selling the house because of all the problems that are going on with the economy. So what do I do with the tenants in that case? How do I go about telling them that I'm going to sell the house, and legally, what do I have to do for them?
You can still sell the house, but you cannot break the lease. Whoever buys the house is gonna have to buy the house with the current tenants. So that's the way it goes. You know, you have to honor the lease. Your tenants have to honor the lease. It goes both ways. So you still can sell it, but whoever buys it has to take ownership with the tenants inside until the lease is over, unless of course the tenants work with you and let you, you know, they agree with you. Maybe you can pay them an amount of money so that they can leave before they're supposed to, but it's the right to stay there until the lease is over.
Yeah, I thought that I read somewhere, excuse me, that I would have to pay them their deposit for the next, so that they can get another house.
It's really depends on what the lease. Do you have a lease with them?
Yes.
Okay, so whatever is within the lease is what counts. But if, let's say, you talk to them and you say, well, listen, I wanna sell the property, would you agree to leave? And they may tell you, yes, we will, but you have to pay us so much. So there is nothing that the law says that you have to pay them. Is whatever you two work out, okay? But the lease, yes, you have to comply with the lease.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we don't have time for much more. If someone has a brief question, we may be able to fit one more in. Who was next?
We had Sanchez next.
Do you have a question?
I do. Are you answering commercial real estate questions as well? Hello?
Yeah, I think we're sticking to residential real estate, but someone may be able to answer it. What's the question?
It's also a tenant dispute because it's a leased property. Taking ownership of the property, it was not conducive to the business. We had a leak in the roof and we could not even open for business. We've been evicted, and we actually went to court, and they sided on the side of the landlord.
Okay, unfortunately, we need to make this very quick because we don't have much time at all. Does anybody have an answer that can address this very, very briefly?
Well,
What was the question? Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Well, yeah, he was saying, I guess, that he was in a commercial lease and he went to court, and that although there was a leak in the roof that prevented him to take ownership, the court sided with the landlord. And so I guess the short answer would be appeal or file for a motion for rehearing or reconsideration of the final judgment in favor of the.
Someone will be happy to speak further with you. If you would want to call the Lawyer Information and Referral Service at the Bar Association, we can put you through to an attorney who you can speak further with about that matter. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. I hope that this evening has been helpful and that we've answered your questions. Please feel free to call the Lawyer Information and Referral Service at the Orange County Bar Association, and we'll be happy to have an attorney speak with you regarding any legal issues that you may be having that you need assistance with. I want to thank everybody for coming this evening, and have a great evening.
True.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, can we go now?
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
It looks like it's still recording.
Oh,